So we are actually going to be looking at flowers as if they are a bowl, a saucer, or some flowers are deeper. And you can see that these gerberas are pretty much flat plates. So if I get, excuse my head covering the camera there. So this is a camera lens. So that could be, you know, the shape of a flower as well. So anything circular, I'm going to be demonstrating those sorts of flowers. So we're not talking about those stunning grevilleas that I showed you. We're also not talking about things like bird of paradise or strelitzias, that's what their name is. So we're looking at standard flower kind of shapes. And I know that flowers are very often drawn from your head, and you know, if you were to draw a picture of a daisy or something for your grandchildren, you would typically do that. I do that often. When I sign a card, I sometimes put a little flower underline, that sort of thing. So that would be your typical standard, what's the word I'm using, trying to find, icon or symbol of a flower would be that. And that's because it's based on something round like that. And if you look at that big gerbera right in the middle of that picture, that lovely orange gerbera, you can see that it's got a big black center, and it has got the petals sticking out. So I'm actually going to draw on top of that and show you what I'm talking about. So let me get my brush there. Okay, so this gerbera here, it's got a, whoa, I'm not drawing very well. I'm drawing with my mouse. That's why it's not very clear, but you can see that it is basically a circle. But if you look at the orange gerbera on the right-hand side of it, that is no longer a circle. That is an oval shape. So flowers only look like a circle if they are facing directly at you like this dish. So for that gerbera on the side, if I tilt my dish that way, then that would be about what that gerbera is doing. And you can see that oval shape, that's actually an ellipse. I'm trying to match that to the photograph, so I'm tilting it up a little bit and a little bit further. You can see that that is pretty much the shape of that gerbera. So how cool is that? So what I've drawn there, I'm not sure that you can even see that deep blue. I'll change it to a different color. There you go. So there is that oval shape. Now you can see with some of the other gerberas, so if we look at the top right, no, that's my left, Karen, you can see that the plate shape is quite flat. So that would be that with our plate, but we can see the underside of the flower. So we've got a kind of a trumpet shape there. I hope you can all see that. So obviously this bowl that I have got here hasn't got a trumpet shape, but if I put that lid on it, it would make a cone shape extending further underneath. But we are still talking basically about a bowl shape, or maybe a trumpet flower shape, or a conical shape. So the first thing I want you to notice when you're drawing flowers is what direction are they facing. Not every single flower is facing us dead on like that. Okay, and obviously different flowers have got different forms. This gerbera here, the yellow one at the top, that's a lovely oval shape. We can't see the petals right at the back here, and the petals in the front are nice and long. So I don't know if you remember our foreshortening video. That would have told us that, just changing color again to show you because the white isn't standing out on that yellow. So these petals are kind of hanging down from the gerbera, so it's obviously getting a bit old and tired, but the petals right at the back we can hardly see, which is because they are foreshortened. Remember, coming away from you, and it's the same on this bottom gerbera there. Those petals on the short side of your oval are much shorter than these long ones here. Okay, so you absolutely need to pay attention to what is happening with the petals of your flower. So if I just put that one away, you can see those flowers again. Okay, so I am going to use these flowers as demonstration. I'm just wondering how I can I use this bowl still as a demonstration? Wetting my ink there. You can see that if that's the center of the flower, that's much, much bigger than the center of those gerberas. So if I come in with a tissue and I wipe it out, I want to show you what's happening to that center. So if it's dead on like that, then it is a circle, and as that's a bit of an ugly circle, but I'm sure you can there, we'll make it more circular. There you go. That circle in the center also changes to an ellipse as this plate gets tilted. And don't be fooled when it is a little bit tilted. Because of the foreshortening, you will see less of that petal. Now I can't see yet what you can see because I've got a delay, and more of that petal. So if I drag that out into a petal shape, and I drag that out into a petal shape, that didn't work, did it? Okay, so flat on, those petals are the same size, but like that, that petal is short and that petal is long. Okay, so let's actually do a picture of that so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do the oval right-hand orange flower, and your first step, so that you get that foreshortening correct, is to put that oval shape in. They are called ellipses because they are based on a circle shape. Circles, in fact, are a special type of ellipse, and when it's tilted, it's going to go into this oval. Now, if you look at that center, you can see that it is about in the center from there to there. Very often, however, this center mark looks like it's here. So pay very careful attention to where this center bit is. But for the moment, I reckon that it's in the center there. Now, I might actually look for myself and do a little bit of measuring with my pencil. Yeah, it's about the same. Now, as I was demonstrating on the actual photograph, these petals are long. Now I'm just drawing head petals at the moment. So head petals meaning that sort of petal, okay? Because I just want to show you what's actually happening. Yes, there's all sorts of fluffy stuff in here as well. But these petals here are foreshortened. So if I carry on drawing head petals, so I'm making these up, I'm not looking at the picture at the moment. The simple fact that you're drawing them in that oval is going to help make the flower look like it's in that direction. Once again with our bowl. And I can see from what you can see that that looks pretty cool actually. Now I'm going to remind you of a lesson we've done before, which is your negative shape lesson. So we use negative shape to help us to see the foreshortening, because foreshortening, making these ones shorter than those ones, is quite difficult because your head wants you to do that sort of flower all the time. So now, if I actually pay attention to the real flower and I'm not drawing a head flower, I can put my ovals in, and if I actually follow, now I'm going to do this on the Photoshop image. I might change the size a bit so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, if I look at the negative shape of this orange flower, I'm actually going to be following these little edges, and you can see that the petals are not quite as separate as I had them in my head drawing, my symbolic drawing, although it still looked quite good because I had done the oval. Can you see that outline? So if I now look at that picture properly, take that away again, and I follow negative shape, there's a lovely big V shape there. See, I'm just drawing the outline, the negative shape outline, with all of these little pointy bits coming in. And that allows me to see the flowers much better. Now, I am actually not drawing this as well as I could be, because it's almost impossible to do this while you're talking, even me. Okay, so I'm actually not going to finish all the way around. Now, what you do now is you can come in and finish off where those edges are. Again, it's all about observation. And you'll see that these petals here are looking a lot more realistic than these petals here. Of course, I'm reminding you, you're welcome to ask me any questions. Now, actually, I'm just noticing I didn't pay enough attention to my negative shapes, because the shape at the end of the petals isn't this round finger shape. It's actually a little bit pointed as well. But as usual, this is my demonstration and not how I would actually draw. Well, it is how I would actually draw, but I wouldn't be talking to you like this. So you can see that I've actually only taken those lines halfway or 3/4 of the way, because this has got some stuff, for want of a better word. And now we can go to our mark making. So have a look at those videos again. So mark making means I want to put some marks here which resemble that those bits in the middle of the flower. And these are the dark bits, which is quite nice. That looks like a little donut or something in the middle there. Let's see what you can see, yeah? And not only has it got that center, but it's also got some tiny, tiny petals that are forming, and in fact I'm going to put another oval in there. They are forming a halo-ish sort of effect around that center. Now these ones I can't see. Those ones I can see. I'm not sure that you can see on such a tiny picture. I will put the picture up in the group later. So because we're looking at the flower that way, we can see the flowers on that side. We can see the petals, sorry, on that side, but not very well on this side. So I'm not going to put them in. My head's not going to tell me to do that, or actually my head is going to tell me to do that, but my eyes are going to say to my head, no, don't do that, because that's not what I can see. But what I can see is another layer of petals there on this side, and they are also foreshortened. So I'm really, really paying a lot of attention to how the flower actually is formed. And you can see already that that one is much more realistic than this one. These petals are all evenly spaced, all of that sort of thing is happening. Now, because there was a flash on these petals, so you can only see a little bit of shadow underneath. So we're not particularly talking about shading today. We're just talking about how we get the shape. I should go back to my negatives. But whenever I'm drawing even the positives, I'm always checking what this negative shape is here. And that lovely dark background in the photograph is providing us with a beautiful, easy negative shape to follow. So if I color in that negative shape just with my pencil, that flower will begin to stand out. And in fact, even the stalk underneath is a bit buried in that dark. You can see there's a shadow cast on the stem there. Please, when you are putting stems on your flowers, make sure that it's a stem that can actually hold the flower up. You don't want a single line like that. Okay, there are some petals on top here, so I'm drawing them in. These are the foreshortened ones that I could see, and I can see a few here. I can't actually see these very well, so unless you're actually zooming in, don't worry about putting them in, because if you can't see them, don't put them in. They just become part of that flower, and it doesn't really matter. Now I'm using my kneadable eraser because I'd like to just take out and clean up the top petals. So that they stand on top of the underneath petals, and that's a little bit clumsy to work with. I could take my tiny, tiny eraser. Now I found these on the internet. I know that some art shops do have them. If you're in Western Australia, I do know that Jackson's is a place to get them. I don't know if they're in stock at the moment. Lots of shops haven't got stocks of these things. And I hadn't noticed my line there. If you want to clean things up, at this stage, you can. But this beautiful flower is noticeable mainly because of these negative shapes. And I might even take a 6B to color that in quickly so you can see that flower popping forward. How are we doing? How does that look? Yes, I can actually see it coming out of the paper there when I look at what you can see. And we have Hassan Hamis. I hope I've pronounced that well. Hello, lovely to have you here. I don't recognize your name, so this might be the first time you're here. That's lovely to see you. So I am not working very carefully at this stage because I just want to get an image of this flower looking quite real. And because of the foreshortening that we've got on this side, when I look at the vision that you can see, that is really, really working. Okay, so there you have that orange gerbera, nearly that orange gerbera. Obviously, I'm not taking a whole lot of time, but it didn't really take me that long to do that. So remember that they are saucers or bowls, depending on the flower. So I have got another couple of flowers to show you, but before I do that, I just quickly want to demonstrate that red flower in the top left hand corner. That's what I showed you was the kind of trumpety shape. Now my instinct as soon as I looked at that was to put an ellipse there, but we can't actually see inside that flower. We can only see this, the back of the flower. So that is probably not very helpful. And not probably, it's definitely not helpful. So the whole shape of that flower is actually like that. It's a trumpet shape, okay? Because it's actually on the side. If it was tilted a little bit towards you, so you can see the red flower on the right, extreme right hand side, that has got an oval section because it's tilting slightly towards you, and you can see the trumpet part of it. So that's what I wanted to point out, is depending on how the flower is looking at you, is it completely on the side, or can you see a little bit of the inside? But I'm gonna quickly demonstrate this, the one on the left. Again, you can use your negative shapes. I'm not really going to take the time to do it carefully because I just want to demonstrate. Again, we've got the foreshortening of these petals here coming towards you. So I'm just trying to see the shape there, and I'm looking at the negative shapes of these petals in front against the negative shapes of the petals at the back. And they're all kind of overlapping. We're not sure what's a back petal and what's a front petal. That sounded like I said back pedal. I'm not backpedaling. Okay, if I'd taken it a bit slowly, I could have drawn it more carefully, but I just wanted to show you that it's exactly the same technique. And I started drawing zigzags there because my head told me it looked like zigzags. But if I really, really look, and I draw it from looking instead of what my head's telling me, they are actually really tiny little spikes like that, and actually they are based on these leaves. There's obviously a name for it, and that trumpet section that I did with my head is absolutely not correct because it's forming a bowl like that. So observation is absolutely the key. Hello Ore, welcome. Okay, you can see how fat that stem is. Again, so I just wanted to show you how we would use exactly the same techniques. Negative shapes of these petals, observation of what's going on, observation of the negative shapes and the foreshortening. Once again, I'm drawing headlines. And the reason is because I'm in a rush. If I slowed down, then I would be able to go and actually see what happens to them. Okay, the last flower that I want to show you, so that is not nearly as successful as my first one, but that's okay. I was in a rush with that. I didn't take very much care. That clivia, I wanted to show you what the trumpety type shape looked like when you look at it from the front. So that's also got that foreshortened shape, and I'm just going to go directly to there so you can see the whole picture. And if I draw there, you can see that that is the center of the flower there, and these petals are long and these petals are short. It's a little bit silly what I'm doing there. Let's see if I can do a better job. Okay, so long petal there. I'm drawing with my mouse instead of my special computer pen. So those petals are long, these petals are short. And you can actually see that the center there is not in the center. So the center of the flower is not the center of that whole picture. So it's quite a good idea if you've got photographs of flowers that you're working from. If you put a document sleeve over that, a bit of plastic, and you draw on that with a whiteboard marker, you will get a lovely example of the shape of it. So there's our oval on that one. Let's see which other photographs we can destroy. Okay, so our beautiful sunflowers, that's what I wanted to show you next. Clearly, the left-hand one, we can see this lovely big open area because we're looking straight down at that photo. Remember to look at the proportions. So how big are these petals? What is the length of that petal compared with the length of the inside of that sunflower? Obviously, depending on the type of sunflower that you have. So let's just go back to that. Very frequently when we draw sunflowers, we go for this sort of head drawing, and we draw these small centers and big petals. So check what your particular flower looks like. In our image there, we've got a very big center, and the petals are much, much smaller. So that distance compared to that distance is much smaller. And of course, running out of room on my paper here, the big sunflower on the right hand side is a similar direction to the gerbera that we drew. So that's an oval. And have a look at the fact that the center of the flower, the black center, is sitting right against the left edge, and we can see long petals that side and foreshortened petals this side, which are jutting into the flower and covering over the center. So in relation to our saucer, our bowl, again, if that's the center, you can see that this part of the bowl here is actually covering over some of that flower. And you can see if I make this blue in there bigger, like the sunflower, there you go. That is emulating the sunflower. So this white edge is obscuring some of the inside, and we can see a lot of the petals on that side, and we can actually see the underside of these petals. So, my dears, that's how to draw flowers. Notice how bowl-shaped they are, and notice what shape the opening of the flower is, depending on if it's pointing at you face on like the left hand sunflower, or if it's tilted like that right hand sunflower. So it's all about observation, but thinking about them as a saucer or a bowl will help you enormously. And so I think that we've come to the end of today's session. That's not the camera I wanted you to see at all. Get drawing. See you soon. Bye-bye.